Lights raise on a table of senators inking a sale of arms, slipping in footnotes, funding incentives.
So if you don't trust the CIA or you don't trust like our institutions, then what do you trust? Wait, so if you don't trust the CIA or you don't trust like our institutions, then what do you trust?
The last track, I think I only blinked once. I skipped lunch. Blinked twice. Christ, shut your eyes. Now open wide. Fascists took the nation and inflation took a supersize. It's sad to say your teachers couldn't quite make the ends collide. But now you'll probably get to see them on the weekends doing Uber drives. Say lube it with a little oil. One, it tastes expensive too. You'd be surprised how well it helps you open up your throat so you consume the lie of human rights that was sold to you by suits and ties, designer scents on plastic men with patient fangs and ancient vice. You know, the kind of greed that makes a person lose the sight of morals, so it's easier to sleep at night. It's easier to ease their minds and pick a foreign people we could demonize. If you take a sec to sink into how war criminals think, you'll know you'd never want to see inside. If every man's an open book to look within, theirs are bound in human skin and not designed for human eyes. They are wearing human skin, but they can simply not be humanized. They aren't worth the lowest of the poor they swore to crucify. Holy sweet Geneva, there's a mass grave full of dead believers you called the police on cause you don't believe in squatters' rights. You believe the sanctity of human life is relative to human worth in terms of work and dollar signs. So listen when I say you need to find the light of day before it's too late to apologize. Like holy sweet Geneva, here's a mass grave you can colonize. Because you seem to love to talk about the spirit of America. But if you saw the spirit of this land's supposed character, I think that you'd be calling ICE. And I also think the actual America is truly represented by the call to ICE. Is represented best by the descendants of some immigrants bitching about the immigrants, snitching on some immigrants, then playing dumb and innocent like good little Christians when their neighbors get deported. Until they're screaming at the store that they waited 20 minutes more because the staff was short. Because some ordinary bigot started waging war on immigrants. And honey, we'll just keep deporting because like your first vote and each election since, it turned out that the man you are supporting ended up to just be twice the fucking bigot as the bigot that he wins against. But I was not among the herd. A single word from Biden stirred a tingle in the cynic sense. I knew that a vote for Joe was more like Reagan 2.0. I could smell that sarin smoke that choked around the river bend, and so I spoke about a living end, about an anchor thrown to drowning men, a democratic president, a country never found again. A man who marinated in the blood this land was founded in, a crime bill that contains sufficient lethal ends to drown us in. All written by a man who wears a crown of sins, who currently is sleeping in a bed of sins. And it's no wonder those who truly understand the meaning of democracy are not too keen to let us in. It's no wonder other countries can't conceive of skipping meals or missing rent or being on the streets because you can't afford your medicine. That's uniquely American. And Joe has proved to be the most disturbingly American of presidents. I shiver when I think of what's to come if he's the president. It's a wonder I can even function still to process all the rhymes through all the resonance. Bless my heart, I'm liminally reticent, standing on a threshold of bone, ash, and sediment, near a faded marker claiming this to be the grave of all my sentiments, exactly where I left them all and just how I remembered it. It's a wonder I can even function still to process all the rhymes through all the resonance. Bless my heart, I'm liminally reticent, standing on a threshold of bone, ash, and sediment, near a faded marker claiming this to be the grave of all my sentiments, exactly where I left them all and just how I remembered it.
Wait, so if you don't trust the CIA or you don't trust like our institutions, then what do you trust? Wait, so if you don't trust the CIA or you don't trust like our institutions, then what do you trust?
Fuck.
Wait, so if you don't trust the CIA or you don't trust like our institutions, then what do you trust?
Who are these people?
Who are these people? Oh, look at that. Nice. What's up, everyone? It is Sunday night. It's Indian Reef. It's How Do We Bitch That? It's INN. That's what you're here for. It's Fuck Israel week. Oh, like every week. Sorry. Yeah, there's a lot going on there, so we're going to get to that in a little bit. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about the stories that aren't necessarily making major headlines this week. There are probably three stories that are dominating the narrative, aside from, of course, Israel doing what it does every single week in wrecking Gaza and stealing parts of Syria and part of Lebanon. We will talk about Lebanon. But yeah, I mean, there's so much else going on. You know, there was a fake fight, WWE style fight that happened this week. We're gonna get to that as my tweet of the week, talking about exactly just how bad that was. And then, of course, there's all of the stuff going on right now around the country, specifically in New York and LA, where they've turned ICE on to the public right now, or turned them against the public, it appears, in some way, shape, or form. But there's certainly a bunch of people that are cheering this on. Yay, authoritarianism. This is what I asked for. Jesus effing Christ. Hell no. And then, of course, what Ghost Art just put up, fuck Israel has just broken another international law, this time in international waters, seizing the Freedom Flotilla and kidnapping the crew. We're going to talk about that during the fuck Israel segment, but not much.
Good for Happy Gilmore. Oh, my God.
Yeah, that's going to be out soon. Apparently, the trailer came out. It was actually pretty decent. A bunch of people were like, I want to go see that. I think it's straight to Netflix. Now, just remember, Sandler's also a massive Zionist. Womp womp. Like, you can't... Like, Hollywood basically is full of... Yeah. Anyway, before we get started...
Oh, no. Anyway...
Yeah, anyway... These are the people that help out INN. Oh, you know what? Rookie move. There we go. The way to support INN, the best way, is with a monthly or one-time support over at Cash App, $Indie News Network, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, over at PayPal at paypal.me/Indie News Network, or at INNnewsletter.com. You can do it there as well. You can also go to indienewsnow.com. I need to put that on the slide. That's right. INDIE, indienewsnow.com. And then you go to the keep the media free. And there's where you can also leave a tip directly. So if you can hook that up, we really appreciate it. I'm praying that
just a tip, please.
Just a tip. I'm praying that my PC's not going to reboot. And we're not going to have any crashes tonight. So, because we have quite a bit to get to. I don't know if you saw my one-on-one with Golden Monarch that we played. We recorded it Wednesday, ran it Thursday night, as well as Saturday night. And we talked a lot about Bitcoin. We talked a lot about crypto and what a grift it is in a lot of ways, and how it's now becoming a tool of the elite because most people can't afford it. And even when it goes up, they're really not making all that much from it. They've got to hold on to it forever, and it doesn't yield anything as far as, dividends or monthly income or any kind of residual. It's all about the appreciation and growth, which has ups and downs. One of the things that we talked about was an article that he had written that I wanted to bring here tonight. It was talking about Steak and Shake and their acceptance of Bitcoin now as a currency in order to buy a burger. Like what? Have you heard about this? Reef,
yes.
have you bought anything with crypto yourself?
I don't think so. No.
Have you bought crypto?
No.
Ever?
Yes.
Okay. So it's blockchain, it's cryptocurrency. All right. This is our friend Golden Monarch. Give him a follow over at the goldenmonarchdomain.substack.com. Let's do it. Where's the sound? Here it is.
Coming to a
Hopefully you heard that, but probably not.
Near you.
Nope, you didn't.
Yes.
Reef did.
I'm shaking my head up and down.
Nobody else did. It didn't go
yes.
out. It didn't go out to the stream. I'll let Reef do it. Go ahead. That I did not hear.
Near you.
That was halfway cut
Coming
off.
to a
There we go.
Substack newsletter near you.
All right, we're bringing up the soundboard. All right, folks. Okay, yes, coming to a Substack newsletter near you is the Golden Monarch domain. So he wrote, "Hey, Steak and Shake, did you just call my Bitcoin a cow?" But no, I think he called it a honeypot. Now, this is a real image from a real video, a real commercial that they did about accepting Bitcoin, where these clowns all danced in cow suits, and they literally call themselves
Have a good time with your Bitcoin.
Steak Toshi. Like, just what? Okay. So he says Steak and Shake, burgers, fries, milkshake, even the recent switching from vegetable oil to beef tallow for frying fries and other items. What could go wrong?
That's how you get brain worms. You got to be careful.
They literally brag that we RFK'd our fries. Really? Enter Bitcoin.
What a fucking dummies.
Right? Yes, a bunch. The decentralized, quote unquote, cryptocurrency that's been wildly exaggerated, overvalued as a result of earliest investors and billionaires and politicians, and a lot of media hype that has been bought. And executives at Steak and Shake are making no exception either. They're rolling in hard for Bitcoin to enable customers a third option besides cash and credit card to pay for items in Bitcoin. Good news for everyone, right? Nope. We need to find out what's motivating Steak and Shake to accept Bitcoin, who precisely controls and owns Steak and Shake, and what official executives of Steak and Shake have said about Bitcoin, and what political agendas has Steak and Shake aligned itself with. I think that you'll find that it follows a very straight path. So the first thing is that they're owned by a company called Big Larry Holdings, which is funny, because I thought it was like Big Larry, but it's more like Big Larry, because the owner is Sardar Big Larry. Okay. So Big Larry Holdings, which is located in San Antonio, Texas, owns several subsidiaries along with Steak and Shake. They include Abraxas Petroleum, so they own some oil companies, First Guard and Maxim and Southern Oil, Southern Pioneer and Casualty Insurance Company, and Western Sizzlin Corp. I don't know if that's the follow-up to Sizzler Steakhouse. I don't think so. I don't know what Western Sizzlin Corp is. Its CEO, who is Sardar Big Larry, he has invested a considerable amount of money buying companies, including Steak and Shake. So he's like a, what do you call it? Like an investor. All right. So Greg Abbott, who's the governor of Texas, All right. Of course, we know that he's pro-Israel, Zionist, Christian. Last month threatened the city of San Marcos over its proposed embargo on Israel. So that's the climate that they're pandering to. Given Abbott's position, Big Larry very likely has massive bias for Israel by remaining silent on the matter. Either that or he's just a pussy, but I would guess that it's probably the former. All right, because you can see that he's given consistently, not much, all right, $500 to his local rep, $1,000 for Congress, $25,000 for his governor. So that's one of the reasons why he's quiet about Greg Abbott. And just $216 to Donald Trump. That's a weird donation. Anyway, Big Larry previously referenced Horatio Alger, the American dream, and the belief that anyone, regardless of their background, can achieve upward mobility through hard work and perseverance, even in today's day and age. All right, which is, not acknowledging that there are certain people that start at the 50-yard line and have a much more clear-cut advantage than others who succeed in this world, and that some people start all the way back on their own goal line and have a massive amount of challenges. All right. So he says, quote, in the 19th century, the tales of Horatio Alger captivated the public for the way his characters overcome adversity. Our franchise partners are the flesh and blood Horatio Alger heroes of the 21st century. That's a marketing slogan if I've ever heard one. It's a reminder that when opportunity knocks, all one needs is a knack for seizing chances and for putting one's all into the work at hand. Oh, yeah, and it helps to have a billionaire behind you as well. As long as you...
Only a little bit.
As long as you play the game and you play along and you follow their rules. All right, but here's the funny thing. You didn't use Bitcoin to buy your food. You used Lightning. So this account named Scotch Horse points out that the person that actually purchased their burger through using Bitcoin, that you used a side chain called Lightning, which is built on top of failed soft fork of Bitcoin called BTC. Not even slightly impressed. You should have either used a credit card or opened a tab with the manager. You'd have been better off. All right. And he's got a couple of articles that back that up that show that borrowed dollars are the lowest APR and the best way to spend Bitcoin. Okay. The burger cost was 91.77 sats. Sats are Satoshis, and Satoshi Nakamoto is allegedly the inventor of Bitcoin. There's even questions and rumors over whether that's an individual person that was just a pseudonym for a collective of people, or it's literally the intelligence agencies. All right. And then here's another one that we actually looked at on Saturday night, that not only are you buying it for $9, but the growth that you made on the 91.77 sats, the profit, you actually have to pay an income tax on that. So it costs you more than the $9 because you're also paying sales tax on your burger. So Golden Monarch continues that since May 16th of this year, Steak and Shake accepted Bitcoin, albeit using the Lightning Network. Lightning, which was developed and launched out in 2018 through the Lightning Labs and its CEO, Elizabeth Stark, is a second-layer network built on Bitcoin to enable faster and cheaper transaction. Okay, but it's not actually Bitcoin. At first glance, this sounds good, but like any network, Lightning is easily vulnerable to quantum computing threats, and that was even hinted recently by BlackRock. We talked about that last week, that they've already gamed out how this thing is going to end and how they're going to claim that the system was gamed. And it's using this quantum computing, which will break into crypto wallets and allow people to steal from them, clean out wallets, manipulate the system in a way that it couldn't now, change the blockchain potentially. All right. Also, routing attacks, fraudulent breaching within social media, especially on the twatters, crypto users and likely bots overwhelmingly hyped Steak and Shake's announcement of Bitcoin. All right. Some users went overboard and posted their receipts proving that they had used Bitcoin to buy a burger worth $9 or even $12, depending on what they had on their burger. All right. There are some glaring issues with these user statements. So he breaks down some of the problems here, which is, first of all, that they don't actually show you the conversion rate that they calculated these sats to be at in order to get to 9177 or whatever the number is. All right, so what he says is that the receipt doesn't show the conversion, so we don't even know what the value of Bitcoin for the transaction amount was even sent through. It's about a certain amount, but are they making money? Is Steak and Shake or the processor making money on the spread between when it was purchased and when it was actually, when the burger was bought and when it's exchanged for something else? I'm sure they are. It's really dicey and complicated. Also, the receipts use sats as a reference. One Satoshi is point, and it's 8 zeros plus a 1. Why not just post receipts as fractional Bitcoin instead? Why even go through the hassle to name a smaller form of a digital currency after a pseudonym developer? It's weird. The price of Bitcoin is volatile. We've discussed that before as a result of deliberate pumps and dumps from elites and billionaires, etc. And then the halvings as well, which he's going to get to. Thus, receipts, etc. Steak and Shake will show varying prices paid, be it overpaid or underpaid for something as simple as a burger. You might win out by a couple of pennies, but in the end, you're going to lose.
Right.
It's like a casino. The house always wins. According to Decrypt, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies fall under the same category as stocks, bonds, and other long-term investments that may or may not generate income via the IRS. They are completely taxable. So like I said, the income that you make between when you bought your Bitcoin and when you sold it in order to buy a burger, you have to pay tax on that growth. All right, so he says, suppose that 3 years from now, a burger from Steak and Shake costs $9 due to capitalism, of course, the whales and Bitcoin's halving.
Capitalism.
Yep. Largely appreciating Bitcoin's value to keep on rising, all right, which means that he's basically predicting Bitcoin to go up to $300,000 a coin. What if instead of paying $9 in Bitcoin for a Steak and Shake burger, that $9 wasn't spent and instead accumulated to, say, around $27, meaning that the value of what consumers spent looks insane, much like that infamous story back in 2014 or whatever of that one guy that paid 2 Bitcoin for a pizza. All right, that's the 200,000. Yeah, what am I do? All right, what do I propose? It's simple. If you can, stop using decentralized Bitcoin to purchase burgers, lest you enjoy filing a hefty and rigged Form 8949, which is the tax form for making any income on crypto. All right.
Hamburger.
Oh, yummy. I had a delicious friggin' hamburger today, let me tell you. That's my new theme song, apparently.
Well, I mean, it is indie.
Yes.
No?
Ironically, they suggested that customers might want to use stable coins instead. That's also a really bad idea. It's just that there's no income tax to then pay on stable coins because you don't make any money on your stable coins. You have $1, it's worth $1. That's it. Well, you don't want to be in that if you're in crypto. All right. I mean, it's stable, but it's not cash. It's backed by either World Liberty Financial or Circle, which went public this week and doubled in value, apparently. Now, we played this video, and it actually got me whacked for a copyright violation because there was music behind it. And thankfully, YouTube allows you to just take the music out now. So we can't actually play this stupid video because this woman, Valentina Gomez, she apparently ran for Congress and lost. And she just decided, I'm going all in on Bitcoin, and I'm going to be a Bitcoin spokesmodel representative, even though nobody's paying her, hired her, asked her. She's just volunteering to do it because, of course, she owns
all that fucking white after Labor Day, like a fucking peasant.
She owns Bitcoin.
That's what peasants do.
She holds a bunch of Bitcoin, so by hyping Bitcoin, she's actually pumping her own investment. By it going up, she profits.
I call myself a joyful warrior.
These people, man. So It's an insane video. It's a minute long. I guess I gotta play it. I know
You
that,
can't. It's got music. Just skip it. It's fine.
right,
We
I'll
get it.
skip it.
We look at the lady. We see it. She buying burger. We got
She's
it.
a mess. All right.
Fucking.
It's just ugh, gross. Oh yeah. By the way, Valentina Gomez, APAC tracker on Valentina Gomez sides with the Israel lobby, touting her support for stomping all over the First Amendment right to free speech, working with the people at Columbia University. Oh, she's an awful person.
$8,000 Burberry jacket too.
Her pinned tweet.
Whatever the fuck that is.
Islam has no place in Texas. A religion.
Okay.
He does not believe in religious freedom, and yet she wants to run for Congress. So we can end the Islamization of America, dude. This woman's dangerous. All right. So our friend the Monarch points out that she's a lunatic, and he's correct. All right, and that she's siding with the Israel lobby because that's what lunatics do. But Bitcoin News, the Fifth Column, and other crypto outlets won't say it, but I'll say it. Steak and Shake should be ashamed of themselves for partnering with a controversial figure, someone who I would easily describe as yet another Bitcoin Zionist, Valentina Gomez. Fuck Israel. Gomez, a political candidate who ran and lost last year during an election to become the Missouri Secretary of State, is an excessive narcissist individual who does whatever she can to seek and feel validation. Whether it's her promoting migrant execution, to using a flamethrower to burn LGBTQ-themed books, to wearing and removing a hijab to stir hate speech within a Muslim event. The next time crypto bro or gal mentions Steak and Shake, ask them how did Big Larry Holdings get a narcissist such as Gomez to go about promoting Bitcoin and freedom without at least doing a proper background check. Surely freedom. Surely Big Larry himself is fully aware of Gomez's profile to not even care. All right. So this was at the Las Vegas Bitcoin conference, which our friend the Monarch deemed Republican Convention 2.5, because Republican Convention 2.0 was the Bitcoin conference last summer. All right. This is where the COOs. I don't know. I don't think he was at the RNC. I want to be at the RNC. I want to hang with. Now he's the deputy director of the FBI. I don't know if you want to hang with him now. No, I don't. Very much not. So the COO says that Bitcoin payments cut their processing fees in half. For the 8 Bitcoin payments that they made or whatever it is, and then Steak and Shake revealed their success at, they've got their promotion through Bitcoin Magazine, literally their PR. This is through CoinDesk. So you've got the whole industry hyping this whole thing because why not? The entire group of people stands to profit from the hype. So he says last week, and this was at the end of May, prominent politicians, billionaires, and enthusiastic grifters, including Gomez and Graham Elwood, by the way, gathered together at Las Vegas for yet another Bitcoin conference, including Eric Trump was there and Chris from Rumble. Sorry, brother, but calling a spade, they're all standing in that room together, smiling their ass off. Right. Dan Edwards, COO of Steak and Shake, was one individual who reported on Steak and Shake's recent acceptance of Bitcoin and the company's decision to transition away from cooking with vegetable oil to now beef tallow, which allegedly, according to everything I've read, is worse because they're using recycled beef tallow, not even the original fresh stuff. Gross.
You fucking say to me, who fucking said this shit in the fucking chat? What fucking idiot said something stupid in the chat?
Right. Edwards exaggerated with no concrete evidence that Bitcoin is faster than credit cards. All right. And we are saving 50% in processing fees, to the point that Edwards needed to refer to his notes. So what his quote said was that accepting Bitcoin allows us to meet our customers where our customers are. No, it doesn't. It's serving the Bitcoin Zionist crazy hype lunatics like Max
Your customers can't even get
Kaiser.
off the fucking couch.
We were
So-
seeking to provide our customers with another viable option by which to pay for our products. No, you weren't. We understand that allowing customers to pay with Bitcoin alongside cash and credit cards puts Bitcoin on par with these methods. No, it doesn't. Those other globally accepted payment methods. Yeah, you're dumb because the others are like debits, whereas this is an investment growth or loss potentially. I mean, maybe you'll even get a tax write-off for your cheeseburger that you bought at fucking Steak and Shake like a dummy. All right?
We'll do it live. Fuck it.
Edwards also hinted that the company's future plans to involve AI-powered cyber chefs, robo-taxis, drone deliveries. What could possibly further go wrong? Well, Edwards, if you think Bitcoin and AI are going to be a cash cow for your business, you're sorely mistaken. Go follow the Monarch. That's freaking great. That was a really good article. And there's a lot of links and stuff inside for you to go down rabbit holes also. Watch that cringe video of Valentina. It's really bad. All right. Valentina Gomez, and tell people like this person is going to be a problem at some point. She wants to become a Secretary of State. At some point, she'll run for governor. Look, we live in a idiocracy kind of world where central casting figures like Kristi Noem get jobs in administrations like this. You think Trump wouldn't hesitate to hire someone who looks like straight out of central casting? You bet your ass he would. So she's worrisome. And I certainly get concerned over people like that and try to stay ahead of the game to see who they are and where they're coming from before they get to a position of prominence, so we can call that out when they get there. Not a lot of, Bitcoin is weird when it comes to YouTube. They're not really big in monetizing Bitcoin channels, although they do make a lot from people watching Bitcoin level content. We are not monetized back on YouTube because of something that we said in support of the Palestinian people just after the October 7th attacks, that we have not still been remonetized. So if you're able to, and a means, these are the ways to do that. And that's with Cash App, $ Indie News Network. If you're on your phone, that is Cash App. That's through the Stripe or through the Square or Block network. Then you've got Ko-fi. Yeah, that's helpful. Ko-fi.com/Indie News Network. That gets to PayPal, or go straight to paypal.me/Indie News Network. If you do the Ko-fi, it'll throw a little thing up on screen. Or you could also go to the newsletters, INNnewsletter.com, or at IndieMediaToday.com. You could also go to IndieNewsNow.com. We're actually live right now at IndieNewsNow.com. That's the website I built. It's actually a news website, and there's a watch live section on the website that has us streaming whenever INN's live. What's up, fam? Everybody hanging out? All right, cool. What do I have next? Oh, this is just an interesting and short poem that I thought was really different, that no one else really has seen yet. It's by someone, I don't even remember how it showed up in my feed. It was linked in a response to somebody else. And I was like, that's actually a really fucking poem. It mentions a lot of people and a lot of themes that we talk about, and we don't get to bring stuff like that often enough. I know we featured the poem like They Shoot Horses, Don't They? And I actually connected with the author and the poet that wrote that. We of course have our resident poet Jett here at INN, and I know that Steve over at AM Wake Up will ban you from this and all known irrevocable universes irrevocably, permanently, if you assault him with unsolicited poetry. But here I'm going to do something a little different. So hopefully our friend at the Independent Review won't clip this one, so I don't get banned permanently over there. But this is the poem that I wanted to read and show. You know what? Let's do it on the other screen. Stenographers to Power. All right, by a man by the name of Dave Peck. He's just Dave Substack. It's Dave D-E-E-E, 3 E's, Dave D Peck .substack.com. All right, and again,
Coming to a Substack newsletter near you.
That's right. So, his poem reads, "A principle of democracy that is truly paramount is that those in power should be held to account. We need journalists to scrutinize what leaders are doing and to report on any misdeeds or trouble that's brewing. But the mighty U.S. government grew mightily scared when the news from Iraq by WikiLeaks was shared. They didn't want their war crimes in public arena. They couldn't tolerate a journalist with such a demeanor. The U.S. set its lawyers to work on getting Assange indicted, told the UK to lock him up and then to have him extradited. The Guardian embraced Assange and published many a story, with one scoop after another that they could bask in the glory. But when the U.S. decided that Assange was their foe, the paper quickly dropped him like a hot potato. Mainstream journalists won't risk their careers turning sour. They toe the establishment line as stenographers to power. On the Court of Justice ruling, there's agreement worldwide. Israel's occupation is illegal, and they're committing genocide. But Starmer stands with Israel and claims the UK does too. He thinks that he's our PM, he can speak for me and you. In Britain, 3/4 of us want a ceasefire today, although the truth is hard for us to find in any which way, because our mainstream journalists are a spineless shower who care not for the truth. They're just stenographers to power. Abuse of terrorism laws is a chilling sign of the times. Police target journalists who do report on Israel's war crimes. They detained Craig Murray and seized his laptop and phone. They were waiting for Richard Medhurst when he flew back home. Sarah Wilkinson's home was left looking like she'd had a break-in, and she and Asa Winstanley both had all their devices taken. These independent journalists tell the truth and refuse to cower, but there's no sign of solidarity from the stenographers to power. The journalists who live in Gaza are the world's bravest, where Israelis regard a press vest as a target on your chest. To prevent the truth about the genocide from being spread, they are trying to make sure that all the journalists are dead. They shot Mohammed al-Salhi in central Gaza back on day 1 and killed 140 by the time the year was done. Their deaths went unreported in our papers on TV NewsHour. There's no respect for martyred colleagues from stenographers to power. Good stuff. Very good stuff. And I guess that brings us to the beginning of our Fuck Israel segment. All right. So let's throw it out there now. We got Carlos Latuff. If you haven't followed him yet, what are you doing? At Latuff Cartoons. He drew 2 cartoons this week that basically said it all. And right now the ship just got boarded, and they've now arrested / kidnapped the people that were on there. They're in international waters on their way to Gaza, unarmed, with diapers, and to become a single point of distribution, which is already set up to be a nightmare. And of course, they've been intercepted by Israel. So this shows the shark that Israel is intercepting the boat bound for Gaza. The other one I thought was even more powerful, which shows the IOF soldier, guns pointed at the children inside, screaming, "Any closer and you're next," at the boat. So this is what's going on right now, fam. Fuck Israel.
Yep.
All right. Because remember,
How dare you?
Remember, it's not about Hamas, because an Israeli strike on Christian-run hospital in Gaza kills another 4 journalists. This was 3 days ago by our friend and Indie Media Award honoree Dave DeCamp from antiwar.com, also Indie Media Award honoree. On Thursday, Israeli forces struck the courtyard of the Al-Ahi Arab Baptist Hospital in Gaza City, killing 4 journalists and at least 2 other civilians. The hospital is run by the Episcopal Diocese of Jerusalem, which strongly condemned the attack in a statement that was released before a 4th journalist was declared dead. Quote, this morning at about 10:20 a.m. local time, Israeli forces fired inside the compound of our Al-Ahli hospital in Gaza City, killing 3 journalists as well as 2 others, including a father who was escorting his son to our surgical unit for treatment from previous injuries. In addition, this unprovoked assault against civilians wounded 30 other bystanders, among them 4 of our hospital staff. Of course, that was also part of Israel's intent. They love to murder and injure hospital staff.
Yep.
The diocese said that it condemned the attack in the strongest possible terms and called on the international community to enforce Israel's adherence to the 4th Geneva Convention with respect to its provisions.
What fucking international community? Where the fuck is it?
Mm-hmm.
Huh? Where
Okay,
the fuck is it?
it's supposed to have special protections for hospitals, medical personnel, journalists, and civilians in general. It's nice of the diocese to notice or to say something now. Okay, again, Dave says, according to Middle East Eye, the 4 slain journalists have been identified as Suleiman Hajjaj and photographer Ismail Badah, who both worked for Palestine Today TV. Photographer Samir Al-Rifai, who worked for Shams News Agency, and the photojournalist and video editor Motaz Mohammed Rajab, who worked for Quds Al-Yum TV. I think I actually followed Motaz Rajab on Twitter. Sources told Middle East Eye that the strike hit the hospital courtyard while media workers were gathered there and that no one had prior warning of the bombing, as was the intent. According to the Palestinian Journalists Syndicate, the massacre brings the total number of Palestinian journalists murdered by Israeli forces since October 2023 to 225. The PJS said in a statement that it condemned Israel's continued systematic policy of targeting and killing journalists and committing successive massacres against them and their families, unquote. Another strongly worded letter, but they don't have bombs to fight back. I mean, what are they supposed to do? They're running for their lives. But I didn't just have one fuck Israel war crime story this week from Gaza. There's another one also from Beirut, and this is another anti-war story, Indie Media Award honoree. But this one was from Jason Ditz, who I am not familiar with. So let's tear into this one. Israel pounds southern Beirut following an evacuation order. Oh, at least they gave an order and told everyone to get out because we're going to bomb the shit out of this place. Although it's a residential neighborhood and they have no reason or right to bomb a sovereign country, Lebanon's capital city of Beirut is in shock tonight when massive explosions tore through the civilian neighborhood of Dahiyeh in the city's south as the result of a major Israeli attack. This is the first attack on Beirut in over a month. Okay, let's go back here. Israel issued an evacuation order in the evening, claiming that Hezbollah had an underground factory in the city. The attack came a few hours later after sunset, of course, while everybody's in their homes and asleep. Maximum people in there. Information is still coming in about what happened, but reportedly 8 buildings were hit in the targeted neighborhood, and later reports that there were more than a dozen strikes. It's not clear whether those are the same buildings that were cited in the evacuation warning. And since Israel was targeting an underground site, it's not even clear what the surface buildings were even the target in the first place. Secret tunnels, right? More secret tunnels.
Yay, secret tunnels.
Adding
Spell things right.
Adding
Secret
to
tunnel. Yeah. Secret tunnel.
Adding
Yeah.
to the questions which have yet to be answered are reports that Lebanese army forces entered the buildings identified by Israel before the strike, probably to make sure that their citizens were out and weren't going to be killed. It's neither clear if the army was present when the strikes began or whether those buildings ended up being hit at all. But it could potentially add to the seriousness of the matter. There are still no confirmations of casualties, which is weird. People reported that there were substantial traffic jams in Dahya as everyone moved to try to evacuate before the strike, naturally. It may well reduce the likelihood of civilian casualties, though again, we don't yet have word of what hit the buildings or what the hit buildings were, or whether anyone was left within them. Israel claimed the existence of the alleged underground site was a ceasefire violation, but it has yet to be established that there actually was such a site there. Trust me, bro. And moreover, it's not clear from the terms of the ceasefire that Hezbollah wouldn't have been allowed to have an underground facility in Beirut, which is far north of the Litani River boundary that they're supposed to be removed from. Defense Minister Defense Minister Israel Katz said that Israel would not allow anyone to create threats to Israel. That's nice and vague.
Whatever.
Though Hezbollah has not actually attacked Israeli territory a single time since the ceasefire went into effect in November, so the timing of this attack is odd to say the least, or maybe not so much at all. Adding to the timing...
Congratulations, Israel.
Congratulations on being the world's biggest bitch.
Yeah. Well, they're also the world's biggest douche. All right.
Yes.
So that's a pretty good accomplishment there to be both. Adding to the timing is the question that the attack came roughly around sunset, meaning the important religious feast of Eid al-Adha had just begun. Thursday marked the Yom Arafah, a very important holiday where Muslims who do not go to Mecca that year generally fast. All right. Sunset marks the end of the fast and the beginning of the feast, and Israeli strike roughly coincided with that, because God forbid any of them are allowed to eat ever. They want to starve all of the Muslim population, apparently, but not just the Muslims, because remember, Al-Ahli Hospital is a Christian hospital.
Yep.
Though Hezbollah's violation of the ceasefire here is still up for dispute, Israel plainly isn't. And multiple Lebanese leaders issued statements condemning Israel's attack on the capital as a particularly flagrant violation. Israel has carried out thousands of attacks on Lebanese soil since the ceasefire went into effect, but attacking Beirut has been comparatively unusual. But all of them are still war crimes. Attacking a sovereign nation because you claimed that they were attacking you first, and then permanently setting up occupation in the southern half of that country is also a war crime. Yep. But what else is going to happen to them? Now, all right, I'm going to give a little bit of a warning here because this is a really graphic thing. And if you get triggered, by all means, I understand. Come back in a few minutes because this one's, oh boy. Minarmu, who is the founder and editor-in-chief over at Mint Press News, Indie Media Award honoree, had a guest on an American nurse on her podcast this week, Mintcast, who described how he seen that Israeli soldiers are deliberately shooting boys in the penis. Like the IDF are shooting Palestinian boys in the junk so they will never be able to have children. They're neutering.
Are you fucking kidding me?
They're neutering a population. They are sterilizing the population to ensure that they cannot reproduce. But no genocide is happening, right? This isn't systematic ethnic cleansing, right? I can't even play this, but She says the scenes Willie Massey witnessed in Gaza were harrowing. Children shot multiple times in the head, chest, and groin. Hospitals reduced to rubble. The smell of burning flesh and gunpowder lingering in the air. For the American ICU nurse recently returned from the besieged enclave, and thank God he's able to get back, Israel's assault on Gaza was not just war, it was deliberate, systematic extermination, which we've been saying from minute one. There you go. Now you can read these words a whole lot clearer. Massey had been on the front lines of the Israeli attack on the densely populated strip. Oh man, these people that stand on the front lines in order to patch up Palestinians that have been shot at and wounded. Just wow. Incredible people. So he's worked in Al-Aqsa, Nasser, and Indonesia hospitals, by the way, all of which have been bombed multiple times by Israel. He sat
Speaking
down.
of, where the fuck is Dr. Hossam? Where's he at?
Dr. Hossam Abu Shafir. That would be nice to know. He sat down with Manar Adley to discuss his time in Palestine and the brutal realities of the assault, the Israeli assault. This is part 2 of that interview. He and other health professionals from all over the world risk their lives to save as many people as possible. These actions have made them a target. Israel's killed more than 1,400 healthcare workers. I remember they used to screech about 1,200 people killed on October 7th. What about the 1,400 healthcare workers they've murdered since October 7th? Every one of which is a war crime. IDF attacks have destroyed or damaged 33 of Gaza's 36 hospitals. It's an atrocity that humanity should never forget. Worse still, he noted, is that Israel blocks medical supplies from reaching the area, meaning that he and his colleagues must work even without basic instruments and drugs, anesthesia, penicillin, rubbing alcohol. Like, they want infection to spread.
Iodine.
Yep. We don't have gauze. We don't have anesthesia. We don't have antibiotics. No water. No electricity.
I think I heard they didn't even have bleach. Yep.
Israel, before every strike cuts off electricity, they're going to bomb you while you're in the dark, of course. Massey explained how this lack of electricity means life-saving machines are shut off, causing mass deaths. Ventilators, for example, stop working unless they have backup generators, and then they target the generators. And so he and his colleagues must bag patients, a process of connecting their respiratory systems to plastic bags which have to be pumped by hand day and night to keep oxygen flowing into these people's bodies. And as they pump, Israeli bombs fall on the hospital and bullets penetrate its walls. Oh man, fuck Israel. These bombs are supplied by the United States, often at U.S. taxpayer expense, who footed the bill for more than $22 billion of aid to Tel Aviv since October 7th of 2023, making Washington an active participant in the destruction and extermination. Despite its rhetoric about slashing budgets, the Trump administration has shown few signs of limiting the aid flowing to Israel, even as international organizations label the campaign a genocide and call for boycotts and sanctions against Israel. Massey also chronicles a war against the children of Palestine. We've talked about this many times, noting how girls are dying of urinary tract infections because of the shortage of sanitary products, even tampons. Israeli soldiers, meanwhile, deliberately shoot boys in the junk in order to prevent them from ever being able to have children of their own. These are the stories you're not supposed to hear, which is why you're hearing them here. Because I don't give a fuck. These stories are going to get told here. These motherfuckers. And then they turn around and say that the Palestinian people are animals when they behave like that, committing deliberate war crimes on the regular. And again, The toughs. Yeah, just as a reminder that Israel has boarded and seized a humanitarian ship of British flagship. So now Great Britain either has to have given permission for them to seize the people aboard it and stop it, or they have now committed a violation of international law that Britain now must respond to for having Israel stop and board one of their ships without permission? Holy shit, that's an act of war, isn't it? Last I remember it was. All right, and again, just remember who the IDF is mostly firing on at this point. It's women and children. There are at most 30,000 Hamas, admittedly, according to the IDF. That's after 2.5 years, or what is it, 20 months of dropping bombs on them, where they originally claimed that there were only 20,000 Hamas fighters. So somehow they've murdered or kidnapped or arrested most of the men there. And somehow there are 10,000 more Hamas fighters than there were. The maths don't math there, by the way. The maths ain't mathin'.
What's up with that? What's up with that?
All right. I cannot say fuck Israel enough. Oh, wait, where's the other freaking story that I had, Jett X Girl had, that was incredible? All right, about, and I guess I'll bring it next week, about the Jewish Zionist terrorist that tried to firebomb the U.S. embassy in Tel Aviv, in Israel, because he has a grudge with Donald Trump. All right, that's a crazy fucking story that the media is burying because it doesn't fit the narrative. All right, it doesn't fit that someone to Trump's right, all right, someone who thinks that Trump isn't supporting Israel hard enough wants to punish the United States for not supporting it. He moved from Boulder, Colorado. Did something else happen in Boulder, Colorado in the last week or so? I don't remember. Was it like some kind of a quote unquote attack or a psyop of some kind? Yeah, I seem to recall that something did happen over there. Now, this guy happens to have been from Boulder, and he claims that his family owns one of the largest hotel chains in the country that competes with Trump, and that Trump has made his life miserable. He's now moved to Israel, and he's completely bought into, now it's his home and his country. This is an American Jewish Zionist who, again, the right of return. And we talked about the right of return in the past. Remember that Palestinians have no passport and have no rights to any land or anything at all when it comes to Israel or Palestine, according to Israel. However, an American Jew can get on a plane, fly to Israel, and be handed a parcel of land as part of, what's up with that? Yes, as part
Jewish
of
rapscallion.
birthright, quote unquote. Although I renounce my birthright. I don't want it. Give it to a Palestinian person. But they won't do that, of course. That's not part of the rules. Just like when they were selling off the properties for the Gaza waterfront in Toronto and in Teaneck, New Jersey, and in Los Angeles suburbs, they were not allowing anyone to purchase it on behalf of a Palestinian family. How nice. They created those rules too. Again, fuck Israel. So we're not going to be remonetized for segments like that. And if you are able to, and you do like the media and you want to support the media that you want to see, and that's us, you can drop us a couple of bucks over at Cash App, $, Indie News Network, $5-10. You can give us $5 or $10 over at co-fi.com/Indie News Network, or any amount. You can go to paypal.me/Indie News Network, any amount that you want there. You can also go to innnewsletter.com. That's where our daily and weekly newsletters go out, as well as some of the podcasts for the individual shows after we stream them live on Substack, which, by the way, we are live on Substack. Good evening, Substack. If you're watching and hanging out, thank you for hanging out.
newsletter near you.
I did have the chat open at one point. I don't know what happened to it, but all right.
Sorry, but Rachel Maddow's death will just have to come as a pleasant surprise to me.
It would be. Well, I'm not gonna in a video game, right? In a video game. All right. So, good evening to our Substack fam. Good evening over on Odyssey. We're live on Odyssey. I see that Raw Meat Herd is over there. So, good to see you over there, fam. I saw Lone Star checking in earlier. We got Ghost Art and Possum Kings over on Rumble. We've got people hanging out and chatting over on YouTube. We got people over on Kick as well. Kick.com/Indie News Network. That's another place that we stream live. We are live to 8 platforms on Sunday nights. We're even on BitChute. The Bitchute. That's right. Iron Chief over on Kick. Dude, holding it down all week long.
I have 70 alternative accounts.
Iron Chief discovered AM Wake Up this week and also hung out and watched. By the way, on Friday, we were able to very special co-stream on Twitter, Twitch, and Kick, the Independent Media Alliance. They did about a 2-hour live stream with 7 of the members, all about Palantir and the upcoming Panopticon and their software and exactly what their Ghost software does and exactly what their Gotham software does and how it powers the intelligence communities and how it's being used by cops even right now to potentially track down, target, and identify protesters in Los Angeles, in New York, and elsewhere around the world. Of course, we know that Palantir also has was involved in the Where's Daddy software, and that their CEO Alex Karp was challenged about that and ended up sweating as hard as Peter Thiel. It was gross.
Gonna have a bad time.
When you French fry instead of pizza, you definitely are gonna have a bad time.
He French fried when he should have pizzaed.
All right. What's the next segment that I brought? That's right. We're being targeted.
I don't know. You're doing the show.
Am
right?
I? Oh, right. That's right. All right. Well, before we do that, let me go here and fix Reese so that he's not sitting on the side. All right. I probably need to move this over.
We'll do it live.
No.
Fuck it.
I need to move this over. Slide this here. Oh, move this over. There's Reef's face. There he is. No, more Reef. Okay. Sorry, everybody. We got to fix this on the fly. Like you said, fuck it. We'll do it live. All right.
How did it get messed up?
You're seeing the behind. Well, you just
Why do you break things?
You moved your positioning, I would guess, would be. Hey, now he's in the middle. Okay, everyone. Hey, by the way, they're coming for us. They're coming right for us.
Centered.
Now you're centered.
I'm in the thing.
Positioned beautifully. Okay. So this is my segment entitled Everybody Who Disagrees with You is an Extremist. I believe that is the name of a Jesse Jett album at one point. And we have all been targeted to become the next batch of extremists. Because
You violated the law.
Yes, as our Homeland Secretary has clearly stated, that there is no room in the U.S. for the rest of the world's terrorist sympathizers. So therefore...
Terrorism, terrorist, terror organization, terrorist attacks, terrorism, terrorist network, terrorist attacks, terrorist group, terrorists, terrorists, instruments of terror, terror network.
That's the one that gets me every time.
Terror network.
Instruments of terror.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking gets me every time, dude.
So our Department of Homeland Security felt the need in advance of this all going on Thursday, I think it was, or even Wednesday, to put this out. There is no room in the U.S. for the world's terrorist sympathizers. I wonder who they're talking about. Anyone who thinks they can come to America and advocate for anti-Semitic violence and terrorism, think again. The only anti-Semitic violence that I've actually seen was like the Beitar motherfuckers that were attacking the Jewish students at Columbia, by the way. All right. You are not welcome here. Yes, Beitar, you are not welcome here. We will find you, deport you, and prosecute you to the... Right. But we will find you, deport you, and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. Unfortunately, I don't think they mean Beitar. They mean us.
Nope.
Or not even, because we are not coming to America, but they mean college students who voice an opinion that they disagree with Israel's policy of exterminating the Palestinian people, as admitted by an American nurse who just served there at their hospitals. Homeland Security would not like you to pay attention to those inconvenient facts. So,
yep.
To go along and play along with the narrative, you've got lunatic right-winger lobbyists like Palantir's favorite lobbyist, who used to be a representative in Congress in California, Mike Gallagher, calls for branding Code Pink as domestic terrorists. Now, I've called for a long time that the reason why they went after Julian Assange as hard as they did was that they deemed him a non-state hostile actor, a terrorist, an international terrorist, which then meant that they could do all kinds of different things and throw out all kinds of different laws in order to be able to prosecute terrorism. Thanks for that, Obama. All right. All of the rules go out the window when it comes to terrorism. Now, Palantir CEO Alex Karp has acknowledged his company's central role in the Gaza slaughter and brags about killing people around the globe. So let's hear what this unhinged lunatic has to say to Fox Business.
In this country.
Well, I became very used to Code Pink paid protesters disrupting every hearing that we did when I was chairman of the Select Committee on China. But what I found myself thinking while on stage with the Secretary of the Navy is that we're less than a day removed from these crazy people having burned alive a Holocaust survivor. Couldn't they have taken just one day off from their insanity? This is now a fringe, sort of woke, anti-Semitic virus that was once confined to college campuses, has now escaped the lab, and these incidents are growing. But again, they're also not interested in...
Somebody set a Holocaust survivor on fire? Wait, what?
Yeah, bullshit.
That's just a fabrication.
This is now a fringe, sort of woke, anti-Semitic virus that was once confined to college campuses, has now escaped the lab, and these incidents are...
because college campuses are really the ones that started everything here, right? It wasn't because Israel was murdering people. There wasn't any anti-war protesters before, right?
growing.
Sure.
But again, they're also not interested in free speech or freedom of exchange.
Except the speech of us to say fuck... Except for us to say fuck Israel and stop bombing babies. That's not free speech.
They were intending to disrupt a free exchange of ideas. So these people
it wasn't a free exchange of ideas. It was not a free exchange of ideas, motherfucker. It was an exchange of ideas between Palantir and their shareholders and a friendly audience that wasn't going to challenge them on any of those substantive issues. You fuckers.
It's a fucking free exchange of ideas while you fucking tear people off the stage. How the fuck that work?
Incredibly uninformed. They're brainwashed.
Uninformed, brainwashed. Who keeps denying genocide again?
Much more, which is a dangerous movement, a domestic terrorist movement. We must use all legal
domestic terrorist movement
mechanisms at our disposal to prevent people from being harmed. And I think politicians on the left, on the right, everywhere in between can come together around that basic, very fundamental American fact.
No, it's not a fact.
Politicians on the left, on the right, legal, which is a dangerous movement, a domestic terrorist movement. We must...
A domestic terrorist movement. That's dangerous as fuck right there. All right. The domestic terrorists are the guys that are fucking beating up immigrants in the streets right now, that have uniforms and nightsticks and guns. Those are the domestic terrorists. Oh, by the way, thanks a lot to our friend Mel, the village crazy lady. But wait, hold on. What else did Max have to say underneath that? By the way, the dissident, our friend and INN co-founder, also published a very long article with a deep dive and expose on Mike Gallagher. But here's a couple of hit points from Village Crazy Lady Mel. Hey, Rep Gallagher, haven't seen you answer the following questions. Why did you collect millions in campaign donations in 2024 despite knowing that you were going to resign from office last January? Huh. Why did you not return that money to your donors? Why did you then donate $350,000 from your campaign coffers to the Sagamore Institute 1 month after you were appointed to join their board? Huh. Is that how you eventually got your payoff? Because that wasn't your money that you gave. That was people who gave to your campaign. And what are you going to do with the remaining $3.2 million still in your account? Going to launder that back to yourself as well? Why would your PAC not call the law after a thief intercepted your mail, then stole thousands of dollars from your PAC by forging checks? By the way, here are the receipts. Here are the receipts showing that the Sagamore Institute got a $350,000 donation, from Waging Peace Treasurer Paul Kilgore in Athens, Georgia. All right. Meet the team for the Sagamore Institute.
Timeline, screenshots, everything.
Right? This is from Paul Kilgore. To whom it may concern, we are in receipt of the letter from the Commission regarding the above referenced report. Please see below for our complete response. The loss was the result of a check for a legitimate expense being intercepted while in transit through USPS and forged by the thief. So it was a forgery? The committee has implemented new anti-theft prevention measures to prevent future occurrences. Thank you for your opportunity to respond. So allegedly, the check was fraudulent. Paul Kilgore, Waging Peace. That was March 6th. March 18th. Waging Peace reported fraudulent activity to Nicollet National Bank on July 24th, 2024. The committee can confirm that neither Nicollet Bank nor the PAC contacted law enforcement after the theft occurred. In effort to recover the funds, the PAC submitted an affidavit for fraudulent activity to Nicollet Bank, confirming the funds were stolen by an unknown individual to the campaign on July 30th, 2024. The bank returned to the committee on September 19th that the funds could not be recovered. So the money's gone. So it made it to the Sagamore Institute, right? $350,000 was cashed, stolen, but cashed. How couldn't they recover it? These guys could just give the check back, couldn't they?
Where's the money, Lebowski?
But no, they instead. Look, he got hired. Get out! No way.
Yeah, this is the guy that smashes the watermelons, right?
I wish. No, he died. So speaking of what was happening in the streets this week, I've never heard of Utopic News before, so take it with a grain of salt. But this is actual camera footage. The NYPD and ICE mistakenly arrest a Chilean woman on vacation in New York City, and the police left her 12-year-old daughter on the street alone. Tell me how this is helping anybody. She was here on vacation, legally. What the fuck? Let's watch this bullshit. Fucking pigs.
Stop! You violated the law.
Say, my daughter.
Yeah. Please, she also adds.
Could you imagine how much money these people spent to come to New York City to begin with? And then she's just taken away. Like, what's she supposed to do? What the fuck is she supposed to do? You know, I believe it was Public Enemy that once said, fuck the police. Speaking of which, the stormtroopers were out in LA too. Seditionist distribution. After a rapid increase in the number of ICE raids, the people of LA marched on the county jail and spent yesterday battling DHS and the LAPD. Solidarity to those who resist. So here is a line of stormtroopers firing tear gas at a crowd. Check this shit out. Unbelievable. Remember what Cop City is about? It's this.
People in front of me.
It was NWA. Thank you, Yeah, we need the Imperial March for sure. But wait.
Why are you helping the fake cops? You guys are fine, but why are you helping the fake cops?
Dude, a lot of those reporters got hurt. And yet another one fired into the crowd just for good luck. All right. Then, of course, we saw this today. Trump deploys the National Guard. And now all the shit that we've been warning you about for years and showing you with Boston Dynamics. Fuck you in the sound.
Yep.
Fuck you and your music.
Oh, hell no!
So, I believe you did a long segment on how to disable one of these things recently on INN News. Go check that out.
Couple of times.
All right. That's what they have prepared for us. Our new robot overlords. All right. Now, for now, you can throw a jacket or a shirt over the camera, run around to the back, and hit the kill switch on the back, which is basically where the dog's asshole would be. Disgusting. But so are these robot dogs. That's gross. So I don't think that YouTube would be too happy with us for that, and they certainly don't want to monetize us back. So if you're able to, and it means fund the media you want to see and support the media you want to see. Cash App, $, Indie News Network, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, paypal.me/Indie News Network, and of course at innnewsletter.com. You can always do that over there, or at indienewsnow.com, where we're live right now, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. But before we do that, we got the lightning round. We're doing all right on time. Good. All right. Number one, I wanted to call attention, and Grift did a great segment this week on David McBride. And I would encourage everyone to play that segment. It's only 6.5 minutes long, but he sets a timer during the segment because it literally counts off the amount of time that they allowed for the entire hearing. It was an open and shut case, intentionally geared, and they didn't post the courtroom number on the board so that his supporters weren't able to get there. And by the time they did, the hearing was already over, so they couldn't stand up and have any kind of a ruckus at all. All right. What a mess. So David sent this message after he had been denied his appeal. McBride just sent this message, quote, "To those who stood by me through thick and thin, you're my greatest joy. You are my family. It's those who fight with us in the darkest hours who win the most glory. From my heart, thank you. I will never forget your support." David McBride is an Indie Media Award honoree for his courage and whistleblowing. Also speaking out on his behalf all were, of course, Misty Winston and Consortium News and Paula Isella, another indie media award honoree for activism. Then we also had Steve. Steve, surprisingly enough, pointed out that, not really surprisingly enough, he's spoken to David more than just about anyone, and that he supported David for a long time, but that during the trial, the Australian version of the CIA, the SIS, came in and confiscated documents that David was going to use at trial in his testimony. They deemed them classified. They classified them in the middle of the trial, after the fact. Justice for David McBride.
Steve, damn you!
So, again, that's INN. Go check it out. David McBride's court appeals are rejected. He reads through a Consortium News article on that. So solidarity with our brother, David McBride. I also wanted to... I don't want to do any of those things. Reboot, refresh. Okay. This was a fun one.
Did I do that?
No, I'm not turning off my ad blocker. Damn it. Damn it, damn it. Now they're making me do what? They didn't do this before.
Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live! We'll do it live! Fuck it!
I guess we're gonna have to open up another browser in another browser, another window that won't block it. Let's do this. Fuck you. A haboob! Anyone know what a haboob is? I know that Lone Star does, because Lone Star is the one that gave this to me. And you live near this, obviously, I guess, Reef. So you should have seen this possibly.
Unfortunately.
That's a spicy meatball.
So a sun, the sun, filtered by the dust in Florida as a haboob the size of the 48 states approaches the U.S. Nothing to see
Red
here.
sky sandstorm?
Please disperse, right? It's a big sandstorm. Oh, yeah. So the article reads, a giant haboob from the Sahara Desert is about to reach the southeastern U.S., predicted to hit Texas and Florida on Wednesday. Haboobs are a regular occurrence in the Sahara Desert between May and October, particularly in June, as thunderstorms kick dust up high into the atmosphere. Okay, cool. Haboobs result from a microburst, which is an intense column of sinking air within a thunderstorm, which, as it hits the ground, spreads out in all directions and carries out sand or dust particles at speeds of up to 60 miles per hour. That's not cool. The lofted particles can reach heights of 5,000 feet, so you're talking almost a mile in the air, and can extend up to 100 miles wide. Holy shit. This particular haboob, sometimes referred to as the Saharan air layer, is a particularly large one, I would guess so, and is expected to reach the U.S. coast before dispersing. And allegedly, yes, that's what's happened all week long. The people have seen the sun kind of blotted out. Haboobs happen all over Africa. This is a grand-scale haboob. There's all kinds of funny stuff you could do with the boobs. Thank you. All right. A hurricane scientist at NOAA said that it's about the size of the lower 48 states. Contains a lot of dry air and dust as well.
I love that noise.
And it makes its way completely across the Atlantic. No, this was not a test of the emergency broadcast system. And that this haboob has already traveled about 4,000 miles over the ocean. How the fuck does it do that? Dry air and a lot of dust. I don't understand, man. Is it walking on water? Now that we're ramping up into the peak season of these dust outbreaks,
lighter than water.
It's about every 3 to 5 days that another one comes off the coasts. So we usually get impacts over the peak of the hurricane season. Yes, Sean, the Accord Lord over on Discord, had my idea when I thought of haboobs. Yep, I can't put that up. Oh, God, that's awful. All right. All right. John Morales from TV, the Saharan air layer paid a visit to South Florida and the Keys today. Here's what sunrise looked like in Key Largo this morning with the sun filtered by dust. Oof. So is all that dust harmful to you? Well, it depends on the concentration and the altitude. Well, that means probably. It's best to refer to local air quality monitoring agencies for alerts. High altitude dust transport is less likely to have a significant impact on air quality at the surface, but important dust clouds at surface levels, bring particulate matter, coarse and fine, worsening air quality and posing respiratory or even cardiovascular risks. Now we have to be worried about large dust storms coming from the Sahara fucking desert. Saharan dust also does transport microorganisms, including pathogens. This shouldn't be a reason for alarm, as airborne virus and bacteria are part of the atmosphere. Oh, I see that.
Have a bad time.
The Haboob virus. Here we go. As we all experience with COVID, whether it can be dangerous for health is a matter of concentration and pathogens, or completely made up. These haboobs can, of course, affect the weather as they travel throughout the summer months. Gotta be shitting me. The Saharan air layer is another significant seeding phenomenon among affecting tropical storms. The massive, dry, mineral-rich, dusty air that forms over the Sahara from late spring to early fall and moves over the tropical North Atlantic every 3 to 5 days at speeds of 22 to 55 miles an hour. That's fast. These air masses are 1 to 2 miles deep and exists in the lower troposphere, so not at the surface. They can be as wide as the continental U.S., like this one, and have significant moderating impacts on tropical cyclone intensity and formation, because the dry, intense air can deprive the storm of moisture, and wind shear can interfere with its convection. Oh, Jesus. However, disturbances on the periphery of the Saharan air layer can receive a boost in their convection and spin. Great! The immediate effects are unlikely to be more severe than making your car a bit dusty and grimy, like a layer of pollen almost, but the storm could impact the local weather. Okay, great. It's expected to push into the Gulf of Mexico and out of America before potentially turning the skies hazy from Florida to Texas until Friday of last week. So you saw this? Did you hear about this? Did you see this?
I mean, not really.
Did anybody talk about it on the news?
From where I'm at. No.
Interesting.
I mean, probably.
It was a haboob.
But
all right. This one, I'm not going to read. It's a long one, but it's a good one from our friend Arturo Dominguez, Decolonized Journalism, extremearturo.substack.com. U.S. denies Cuban athletes visas, banning travel from 19 countries and more. All right. And that was, again, after the violent attack in Boulder, Colorado. They're weaponizing the incident to target non-citizens and villainize them as terrorists. So also a really important story, Cuba's national basketball team was denied permission to travel to Puerto Rico for the FIBA AmeriCup qualifiers. So they had to forfeit their first game, and most of their players were denied visas. Isn't that nice? And they earned their spot after qualifying earlier this year, but womp womp, fuck the Trump administration. There's a lot to that story. I encourage everyone to go read it. I'll put that link in the description. Also want to call out, again, shout out to our friend at Food Not Bombs, Keith McHenry. But this is not a Keith McHenry article. This was from Farah Hassan at Inequality, all right, who's talking about how the fact that criminalizing homelessness doesn't work, but housing people actually does. Huh, how about that? What a weird stuff. All right, this is from a publication called Other Words. I wanted to click over there. Look at that. That's people sleeping in the back of their cars. All right. And this is talking about and we talked about this last year. They passed an ordinance in, I think it was North Carolina, or maybe even in Southern California, the Grants Pass decision, all right, which may have opened the door to new cruelties. And they're basically outlawing homelessness. All right. Around 100 housed people were recently forced to vacate Oregon's Deschutes National Forest or else face a $5,000 fine or up to 1 year in jail, or both.
Right to jail, right away.
The forest was the last hope for the encampment's residents, many of whom were living in broken down RVs and cars. Shelters in nearby Bend, where the average home price is nearly $800,000, are at capacity, and rent, of course, is increasingly unaffordable. So what are they supposed to do? They can't afford to move. They can't afford to buy a house. They're not allowed to legally sleep on the streets or now in their, like, where do they want these people to go? All right. A year ago this June, Grants Pass v. Johnson, the Supreme Court's billionaire-backed justices, ruled that the local governments can criminalize people for sleeping outside, even if there's no available shelter. All right. Today, a person who works full-time and earns a minimum wage cannot afford a safe place to live almost anywhere in the country. Federal minimum wage has remained stagnant at $7.25 an hour since 2009, and rent is now unaffordable for half of all tenants. Ridiculous. Not everybody works minimum wage. Most minimum wage jobs are not even full-time, 40 hours a week. So they have to cobble multiple minimum wage jobs together just to even make 40 hours. Check out other words. I'll put this link in. Here's the big distraction of the week. I hope you weren't paying attention. All right. Elon Musk said something everyone's known for years. Everybody freak out. Be distracted from whatever's coming next, because it's probably going to be big if they pull this one out. Heads on a swivel, fam. I wrote this 3 days ago. Has anything big happened since then? Nah.
Couple of things.
Nah. Always an Archer reference. Classic misdirection.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Both are majorly connected to Epstein, as our friend Phil points out. Shout out to Phil. Okay, and how it might all end up being for Peter Thiel's benefit, because Snow Himmo's predicting that the falling out of this is going to be J.D. Vance ends up president, which may well be accurate. This could all be a setup to make Trump look unhinged and authoritarian, and J.D. Vance look like the reasonable one. Which is why he's going on controlled opposition podcasts like Theo Von.
I'm sorry.
I'm watching smart people fall for the drama and get wrapped up in the distraction and the back and forth. We all knew this was designed to be blown up for maximum PR value at some point, and it was. So congratulations to all these assholes for creating the distraction that they intended to create, so that people weren't paying attention to the bombs that were being dropped on Gaza, or the bombs that are being dropped on Beirut, or Jelani with what's going on in Syria, exterminating Alawite Christians, or the failed peace talks that are happening in Turkey over Ukraine, Russia. Oh yeah, by the way, Ukraine had a terrorist attack all over Russia, and then Russia retaliated with a drone attack. And of course, Ukraine cried about that and acted like they didn't do anything to deserve it, or, you know, they tried to blow up the
bad things are happening.
They tried to blow up the bridge that goes to Crimea. Okay, again, they failed. Russia's shown an incredible amount of restraint multiple times, of course, but they'll never cop to that. A lot of distractions that would have gotten maximum PR value, on top of the fact that what's happening with the flotilla and what's happening in Gaza and with leveling and taking the West Bank. By the way, there's no Hamas in the West Bank, yet Israel is still ethnically cleansing, demolishing houses, basically following the exact same playbook that they followed in Gaza, but they're not using a justification of an October 7th. They're just doing it. And they're just doing it because Trump's not going to stop them. That's what Miriam Adelson gave him all that money for.
Yep.
So fuck Trump, fuck Elon, fuck Israel, fuck distractions, fuck ICE, fuck the cops, fuck them all. And fuck Bernie Sanders. That's right, the shepherd of hopes. Burn it down, I say. Burn his ass down. Burn it down. That sellout motherfucker who won't even mention genocide. All right? Disgusting. And then, of course, we have our friends still fighting cancer and that need some help. I was going to bring Halo Benson's GoFundMe this week because her daughter got into some legal trouble. Totally random and innocent, just took a trip to Florida with some dude that she didn't know. Turns out, he's a drug trafficker. The guy got pulled over, and the whole story. She's going to put up a new GoFundMe on Tuesday for the bail fund. She needs about $2,200. Anything anybody can do at Halo Benson, Halo Benson. Another one of the best of us. These are all, by the way, Assange supporters, and fucked up stuff is happening to now. These are people that sacrificed themselves for years. By the way, Halo still sends me postcards to mail out to the to all the members of Senate, and they're already addressed and they're stamped, and all you literally have to do is write something on it and drop it in the mailbox. An incredible person. Her daughter got caught up in this. But before we get to Halo, Shanda has certainly still needs some help. We still have a $5,000 goal there. She's got $1,100 raised toward that. It helps her pay her bills while she's been fighting cancer. She can't work still. She gets tired, fatigued. She went through chemo, went through radiation, went through hell, and also did all the natural remedies as well. Fuck cancer by all means. So anything you can do, help Shanda there. Also, Anna Marie. I don't see that number have gone up since last week, which I'm sorry to see and sad to see, but I get everybody's struggling and it's tough times for everyone right now. Love to our brother Andrew Zygmunt Smith, who's Anna Marie's dad. Andrew was one of the co-founders for the Action for Assange show. And again, incredible protester, activist on behalf of Julian Assange, press freedom, and freedom of liberty. He's a big liberty guy. I'm down. So anything again that you can do to help Anna Marie. Now, Shanda's partner Oz the Boomer, he does not have a GoFundMe, but that's our brother Oz. We love Oz to death and to life. We want Oz to stay alive and to stay around, and he could use some help as well. So
I love Oz.
Yeah, stay away from my chickens, Oz. And it's
Great and powerful Oz.
he is great and powerful, but
Stay away from my chickens, Oz.
he's got to stay away from those chickens. So if you could drop him a Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/Oz the Boomer, OZ the Boomer, all one word. You could drop him $5-10, pick up a monthly subscription as well to support. Love to our brother Oz. Anything we can do to support. Everybody right now is struggling and needs some help. So every dollar helps. IndieNewsNow.com, like I said, is a news site that I built with help from our friend Josh over at White Hat Productions. I think that's still the name of his company. I don't remember what the latest iteration is. He'll have to put a link to it down below. All right, but this is a news aggregator site that you can now look by category to look for articles. If you just want to look for articles and read articles and look for articles to read, here are articles that are published from Substacks as well as from Electronic Intifada and a few other larger publications. Caitlin Johnstone, our friend the Islamic Marxist, Sheer Post. Although
son, where'd you find this?
I have set a filter so that we're not publishing Bob's List. I'm not a fan of Bob's List. It's really just amplifying corporate media, and I've called them out on that too. Podcasts. We do have a featured podcast, which is, this one, by the way, from Memorial Day. We also have a bunch of other podcasts that you know and love. New episodes are included here. We have their RSS feed, and this will link right to the podcast so you can download and listen to it right on their site. We also have videos, so we've tapped into Rumble pages to be able to display Rumble live streams and videos that are uploaded to different channels. So that's Progressive Truth Seekers, and then you've got Macroaggressions with Charlie Robinson, and there's INN over there on the Rumbles. We've also got, who's that? The Duran, the Reflex and everybody, Grand Theft World, bunch of New Atlas with Brian Bertelic, a lot of creators, some you might not have even heard of. And that's the idea, is we want to have a large mix of independent voices that bring different perspectives, but ones that that make sense. They're not just talking shit. They're not Trump sycophants. They're not duopoly simps. We're not here for that crap. All right. And then, of course, we have Watch Live, which you can do right now over on IndieNewsNow.com/live and watch. Here's our show. There it is. Hey, there we are live right there. So you can watch that live whenever we are. And now Reef's waving, and in a second you'll see a wave. There's a little bit of a delay. First he's taking a hit, and then he'll look up and he'll wave, and we'll see that on the screen. Maybe. Should. That's weird. Okay, I guess it's a little bit more delayed than we thought. All right.
Yeah, I think it normally is.
Finally, new
It's
shop.
fine.
Who dis? Now on Indie News Now, there is a shop link under Keep the News Free, which is where you can also contribute with credit card and any method that you can think of. But there's also the old shop embedded here, so you can purchase any of the old items there. But we are moving towards a new shop that Big Frog Promotions put up. Okay, that's got the indie T-shirt. I didn't put that on the on the old shop. So you've got an indie T-shirt, men's and ladies, as well as tank tops, sweatshirts. You've got indie beanies and INN beanies. T-shirts start at like $20. So I think there might even be a $19 T-shirt, $19 tank tops, American Tradition with Jesse Jett tank top. There you go. My dial doesn't go to delicate. So by all means, pick up one of these as well. I'll put the link for that in the description after the show. I know I put up a bunch of GoFundMes, but one more time before if you're able to, and it means please support the media you want to see. And you can do that by Cash App, $ Indie News Network, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, paypal.me/Indie News Network, and over at INNnewsletter.com or at IndieMediaToday.com or over at IndieNewsNow.com. All right, so we made it. Yes, Kameshwari Kate, love for Oz. We love Oz. Everybody loves Oz. All right. Spot of prostate cancer, nothing like Shanda. Yep. There he is. Oh, there's Oz. What's up, bro?
Okay, Boomer.
Nice. All right. Good to see everyone. Cowboy Kitty says fuck cancer, and I can't agree more. Max RJ and everybody, good to see everybody in the fam. We are going to get to boats smashing into other boats. We're going to start that on time at midnight Eastern. And yeah, I think that's just about all I had to say for tonight. Fuck Israel, fuck cancer, fuck Trump, fuck Elon, fuck them all.
Bye-bye, Israel.
Have a good night. Support independent media. We need it more than ever. See you at boats, everybody. Love you.
Bye-bye.
We got out of here.
No! We just fucking lost the stream.
I think I liked it better being blind, when I couldn't read between the lines, and when I couldn't see the cracks in the structure that lay bare before me the whole time. I think I liked it better back when I suspended disbelief and swallowed pride. I thought I knew the difference in the red from the blue, but they both bleed us so dry. They both bleed us so dry. My favorite songs don't hit the same way. I get to the end of a 4-minute track and I'm only looking back thinking, what did they actually say? I guess this isn't such an awful place. Is that what you want me to say? You prove it's possible to sleep for days, and I still think you're right here away. The cost of living isn't much to me, but God, it's so hard to say. And when they told you everything was safe, were you safe? Were you
you save? Fresh off the masses, the brand new cancerous growth, who has come here to vie for your vote.